The scene opens on the precinct when Selena is informed by Detective Mellon, who had been assigned to work with her, that the long unsolved Bucket Lane murder case, a mystery that had remained open for over a decade, has finally been closed thanks to Donovan's confession. But despite the apparent closure, Selena isn't convinced that George's confession tells the whole story. Since Morgan isn't familiar with the case, Selena decides to fill her in. She explains that the day after Thanksgiving in 2014, Heather Donovan's husband, Barry Johnson, was found dead inside the family sauna. The housekeeper discovered his body, slow-cooked from the heat, and at first, everyone assumed Barry had simply fallen asleep in the sauna. But the autopsy told a different story. The real cause of death was a broken neck, meaning Barry was already dead before being placed inside. Investigators theorized that the killer had pushed Barry down the basement stairs, killing him instantly, then moved the body to the sauna to make it look like an accident, an intoxicated man who passed out from the heat. Barry's mother-in-law, Lana Donovan, told police she had seen him heading to the basement in his robe shortly after midnight. That was the last time anyone saw him alive. Everyone else in the house claimed they were asleep and heard nothing. However, investigators found a drop of Barry's blood on one of George Donovan's shirts, hidden in the laundry hamper. With no other suspects or solid evidence, George was charged with the murder. Still, the prosecution's case fell apart when the defense pointed to an alternative suspect, Billy Ross, a known coke dealer who had been stopped for a traffic violation just 5 blocks from the Donovan home that same night. Billy had cocaine in his system, and the defense argued that a drug deal gone wrong led him to break into the house and kill Barry. But there was never any proof that Billy had even been inside the home, and George was eventually acquitted. Selena explains that George's former partner, Mellon, always believed George was guilty, but she didn't. To her, the theory never made sense. George was well-liked, and she couldn't see how a 70-year-old man could carry Barry's body all the way to the sauna. Her instincts told her something was off. She believes George's recent confession wasn't about guilt. It was about protecting the family's reputation and finally closing a dark chapter so they could move on and live in peace. Welcome back to Sandy's Timeline. Today, we're breaking down High Potential Episode 11. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a recap. Let's dive in. Selena pleads with Morgan to take another look at the case, just in case something was missed all those years ago. Morgan dives into the old files, carefully re-examining every photo and report. As she studies the evidence, she begins to notice a few inconsistencies, details that don't align with the theory that Barry was killed by a fall. Morgan starts to form a new hypothesis. Barry wasn't killed in the basement at all. He was killed upstairs, in the common bathroom. She explains her theory step by step. The killer, walking down the upstairs hallway, must have heard Barry showering inside. Unaware that someone was there, Barry became an easy target. The killer spotted a hairdryer and realized that electrocution could be mistaken for a heart attack in an autopsy. So they dropped the hairdryer into the shower, killing Barry instantly. But then something went wrong. The electrical outlet caught fire, scorching the wallpaper and the faceplate. Panicking, the killer knew this would expose the murder as deliberate. To cover it up, they moved Barry's body down the laundry chute, breaking his neck in the process, explaining how his blood ended up on George's shirt. Finally, the killer placed Barry in the sauna, positioned an empty wine bottle beside him, and turned on the heat to make it look like a tragic accident. Selena initially finds the theory hard to believe, but Morgan points to the crime scene photos. One of the bathrooms had a replaced outlet cover, proof that something had been tampered with. Selena, however, raises a good point. Modern hairdryers are designed with safety features that prevent electrocution. But Morgan quickly notes that the dryer in question was a 1980s model, built before safety regulations required those protections. Selena then realizes something crucial. The original detectives were called to the scene after midnight, meaning it's possible Barry was killed before midnight, when everyone claimed to be asleep. If that's true, then anyone in the family could have been the killer. When Morgan and Selena arrive at the Donovan home, Morgan immediately begins inspecting the upstairs bathroom. Just as she suspected, she finds scorch marks on the outlet plate, evidence that had been covered up, and confirms that the plate in Barry's room had indeed been replaced. With that part of her theory confirmed, only one question remains. Could Barry's neck really have been broken by being sent down the laundry chute? To test it, they conduct a simulation using a mannequin, sending it down the chute in the same manner Morgan described. When the mannequin lands, the results are chilling. The damage perfectly matches the neck fracture pattern found in Barry's autopsy, proving that Morgan's theory might be exactly how the murder happened. They gather the entire Donovan family for questioning, and the tension in the room is palpable. The family explains that, despite some earlier arguments that day, they all sat down together for Thanksgiving dinner, hoping to keep things civil. However, the dinner quickly turned sour when Barry began offending everyone at the table, sparking a heated argument. George, already on edge, grew furious, and Barry's son, Cody, frustrated by the chaos, stormed upstairs. In the midst of the commotion, Heather's sleeve caught on fire, and though they managed to put it out, the incident left everyone shaken. Barry then excused himself and went upstairs, while the rest of the family tried to salvage the evening by playing a quiet game of Monopoly. Cody eventually came back downstairs, but their peace was short-lived. Barry turned on his TV at full volume, reigniting the tension. Meanwhile, at the precinct, Barry's ex-sister-in-law gives Ozzy and Daphne a shocking revelation. After the fire incident, the family learned about Barry's long history of abusing Heather. When Selena is informed, she immediately confronts the Donovans. Reluctantly, they admit that they had kept Barry's abuse a secret, all to protect the family's reputation. This new information suddenly gives every member of the Donovan family a strong motive for murder. Morgan pieces everything together and presents her final theory. She explains that the original investigation focused only on events after midnight, based on Lenore's claim that she saw Barry heading toward the sauna around that time. But Morgan suggests that Lenore, who had been drinking that night, might not have actually seen Barry at all. She might have seen someone wearing his robe instead. By now, the evidence makes it clear that Barry was killed before midnight, upstairs in the bathroom, and his body was dumped down the laundry chute to stage the accident later. Morgan then lays out her shocking theory. Cody, Barry's teenage son, was the real killer. Acting to protect his abused mother, Cody used an old 1980s hairdryer, one without modern safety features, to electrocute Barry while he was showering. To hide the evidence, he sent the body down the laundry chute, breaking Barry's neck in the process. After that, Cody calmly returned downstairs to play Monopoly with the family, creating the perfect alibi. Around midnight, he staged the final scene, placing Barry's body in the sauna to make it look like an accident. The family's claim that Barry turned up the TV volume during the game, Morgan reveals it was a clever ruse. The Donovans' TVs used radio frequency remotes, meaning Cody could change the channel or adjust the volume from any room in the house, making it seem like Barry was still alive. Under mounting pressure, Cody finally confesses, and it's revealed that George's deathbed confession was his attempt to protect his grandson from facing prison. Meanwhile, at the LAPD, Chief Pacheco is furious that Selena reopened the decade-old case without authorization. He threatens to end Morgan's controversial role in major crimes, the so-called cleaning lady experiment. But in the end, Selena's faith in Morgan is vindicated, the truth comes out, and Cody is arrested as the true killer. If you enjoyed this recap, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another breakdown. Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your theories. Thanks for watching Sandy's Timeline, and I'll see you in the next one.